Welcome to our show. I'm Lana Kay, and it's great to be back with all of you again. Today we have one of my favorite guests with us. Let's welcome Diane Mason to the show. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you. It's so good to see you again.
Thank you for coming. It's so good that you're back with us. Now, Diane, I'm going to have to read this because it's kind of complicated. Diane is our Boone County Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences at the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service, which we know here in Northern Kentucky is the Extension. It's located at Camp Ernst and Route 18. So, and Diane has been there how long?
It's been 16 years.
16 years. So many people from Boone County know her. She also writes important articles for our Boone Recorder. I don't miss these. She's usually in weekly, and her articles are great and just so important for more toward consumer science, sometimes not, but more toward food, mode, and that's what we're going to talk about today. You know, we've experienced a wide range of weather here in Northern Kentucky, and Diane is here to tell us about what can happen if flooding should take place, about contaminated food. So this very, very important. So Diane, tell us, first of all, our power could go out.
Definitely.
And so then where do we start with that?
Well, when the power goes out, the first thing to do is not open your refrigerator or freezer until you have a plan, because every time you open and close that door, you're going to expose it to air, warm air, and raise the temperature of the refrigerator or freezer. And we don't want that to happen if we don't have a plan of what we're going to do.
So Diane, how long would you say, and I guess it would depend on how much is in there in different refrigerators, but I mean, how long would you say until, let's say it's off 2 hours? Are we probably good?
If the refrigerator and freezer is off 2 hours, you're probably fine, as long as you didn't open and close the door a lot.
So it's
really, check on the food.
So it's really important. The minute we know, boom, the lights went out, the cable went out, everything left us, don't, because that's what you really kind of want to do. You know, let's go see what's in there,
Exactly.
But don't do that.
Don't do that until you know that the power will be off for a while, and then think about what's in your refrigerator or freezer and what will I do with it. So if I have fresh milk, can I get that consumed soon?
Sure.
And try to go through and eat or consume the things that you know will spoil quickly.
Very
milk,
good.
Eggs, condiments, leftovers, anything that you have left over.
That would be more at stake. Okay, now, Diane, should we taste it? What if we think it doesn't look too bad? Should we take a taste? Because you want to kind of do that, don't you?
You do. That's the instinct. And unfortunately, not everything tastes spoiled, or things that we eat may cause foodborne illness and still taste good. So it's best to go ahead and discard it. If you have any doubt, it's not worth a trip to the hospital.
True. And Diane, I get this causes then food poisoning.
Sometimes it can.
Okay. And I have never had that, but friends of mine that have experienced from restaurants, let's say, they said they had never, ever been that sick. I mean, with the flu, with anything. So this is very, very important to know. Don't start tasting it, even if it tastes good, because of course at the restaurant they didn't know. That's why they ate it. So you can say there's nothing wrong with the chicken salad, but it is.
It could be. If it's been in there and the temperature got above 40 degrees for more than 2 hours.
There we go.
And part of that depends on how it was treated before it was put in the refrigerator.
Okay,
if it was kind of on the fringe before it went in, and then we've had issues, it may go bad faster.
And you want us, don't take the chance.
It's not worth it.
If you're even wondering, okay,
Not
very
worth
good. Okay, now they can, when floodwaters come, let's say the floodwaters come, then what can all come in with that?
Oh my goodness, well just think about anything that's been on the road, in the fields, in the yard, in the garden, what comes in on your feet, anything.
Chemicals,
sewage, pesticides, bugs, animals.
Yeah, so of course we don't want to take a chance.
Right.
My goodness, this. So you want us to now here was something. How about the sugar? We know the refrigerator. We're going to check it. What about under wherever we keep our sugar, flour, those things in our canister? Are they safe?
No.
No, they're not.
Unfortunately, most of the time I think we know that a flood is going to happen.
Yes.
Most of the time, not always, but most of the time. And hopefully, when we're thinking about that, we're trying to move things to higher ground that may not get flooded to help save some of those things. But if you have flour, sugar, pastas, even in the regular box, like if you have a box of pasta and it's still in its cardboard box, it's no good anymore if it got flooded because the flood water contaminated the box and got into the food.
It sure did.
So. And flour and sugar would be the same. Even in your canisters, even if you think they're Loctite, they probably aren't.
Not that tight.
Right.
That would have to be just airtight. I mean, just so tight, to not take the chance.
Right.
So, wow. So that all has to go too. So it's not just our milk and our refrigerator to worry about. It's really everything.
We know there are floods coming. And then this is an example, this container right here is an example. It looks like it is maybe a solid container,
sure,
but it's not. It's a paperboard container. So that's going to get soaked in too.
Sure.
So that would need to be tossed.
Sure. And Diane?
Home canned goods need to be tossed.
Wow, we thought we sealed them so well.
But we really didn't. Normally, you would not store your goods with this ring on it, but the flood water can get in underneath that seal.
I see. Sure, if it was down, it would. It would creep in there. Wow. So those have got to go. Our canned goods have got to go.
Your canned goods, the commercially canned goods like this, are fine, as long as it wasn't dented or rusted before it got flooded. You should be okay with this. The thing that you need to do with that is after the flood, after everything is over, you can take the label off of that to be sure that it doesn't have mold or any contamination underneath the paper label.
Okay.
Of course, when you take the label off, you no longer have any idea what's in the can. So you'll want to mark that after it's over, after you get it cleaned up.
Yeah, or we wouldn't know. And they've really got to go. The label's got to go.
The label has to go because it's holding bacteria and
so when we handle that, it's going to get on us if we don't just. So how do we do that? We take a knife or something and slip down.
If it's been wet, it will probably
just come right off. Okay, and then we mark it.
Well,
these are our baked beans. Okay, now how? Okay, so tell us that. How do we do that?
Wipe it off, and then you'll clean it with a solution of bleach water.
Okay.
And let it air dry for at least an hour before you open it.
Okay. Wow.
And then after it's all air dried, then go through and mark it. And you can use a permanent marker to bake beans or whatever it is.
Okay, now Diane.
Or you'll have mystery meals.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing either.
Which can be fun. Now, you say never open jars. So is this what we're talking, but you say mayonnaise and salad dressing, they can still have that like little ring around? Okay, so why the ring, they've never even been back opened.
But it still has, it's somewhat on the same principle of this, where there's still that opening where water can get up and in.
Even unopened with the seal, when it comes to mayonnaise, mustard, and condiments, they have to go. Because if they were submerged, they are going to
it could possibly have tainted water in them.
You would not think that.
Right.
You would think this has never been opened. That's a really good point. So now we're on the wooden spoons. Now it's gotten into those things.
Anything that you cannot safely sanitize or disinfect, like wood, we can't do that. Wood is very porous, and so it will keep the germs and the bacteria in the pores of the wood. You can never get it completely clean.
Ever. So you want those to go.
They need
those
to be
completely go. Okay, not even scrub and in the solution. Wood, is that absorbent that it would take in the bacteria, never to probably be able to remove?
You're not going to get that out again.
So
and
there
then baby pacifiers And the nipples on baby bottles, if those get contaminated, they
You
need
never
to go
want it,
too.
well, you wouldn't want to take that chance with your baby.
Exactly.
And they are, so even though you, but I can see how some, if you thought, well, I've swished it off really good, I've dipped it in some Clorox, some water or something, that'd be okay, but it's not okay, not for the babies.
Not for the babies. Babies have
wow.
such a fragile immune system to begin with. I mean, they're so tiny, and they just can't fight off things either. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with any of it. It's like, I need to keep my baby
No matter,
well
yes.
and safe. So it's better to go ahead and discard it and replace pacifiers and those types of things.
Now, undamaged commercial canned goods are safe if they're sanitized. I think we've already said that, but you do want us to use the solution. So let's talk about that. About what is the, how do we, so the solution is what, how much relation to water, how much bleach we're going to use?
1 cup of unscented household bleach, and you can buy like lemon scented, and
those are just as good as.
You want it unscented. You don't want the scented bleach. You want unscented.
Why?
Because you don't want your packages smelling like lemon or spring fresh.
That would take it up. That would take, okay. But are they as powerful?
You need it to be
outside of the
5.25% bleach, and it will say on there. It will tell you what the percentage of bleach is.
One more time, because I'm sorry, I missed it.
5.25%.
5.25. That says this is going to do it.
So it's 1 cup of bleach and 5 gallons of water. Not hot water. That's counterintuitive, but bleach becomes inactivated in really hot water.
I didn't know that. I thought the hotter, now we're double dosing. The hotter the water, this will really.
We're gonna get it all.
Yeah, and it's not true that.
No.
Wow.
Kind of like a warmish.
We learn, don't we
hot
learn
water.
so much when she comes? I never dreamed that it would,
And then you have to let those sit in there for a little bit of time, and then take them out and let them air dry.
Okay.
You don't need to rub them off. Just let it all air dry, and that will help clear off any.
Just let it go itself, rather than maybe we would be taking some off if we tried to do. I mean, if we tried to use the dish.
Well, you want to clean the jar. You want to clean the can before you put it in the bleach water. The bleach water is kind of the last step before you put it
air dry, and then we're going to be okay.
You want to knock the big crud off.
Exactly. Okay. Wow.
So if you see silt or anything on a jar, you'll clean that off, and then the last step is the bleach water. So.
Wow. Now, if the freezer refrigerator was flooded, we're throwing away all foods contaminated. We're not even going to think about it.
No. And if you think about your freezer or refrigerator, most of the things have been opened, or they're in freezer containers.
Like our meat is just in the plastic wrap from the store. There's no way it could have survived.
No. It's a porous item. It's letting air go in and out, and so it's going to let water.
So
and you can't get that cleaned.
Once it was submerged, once those were submerged, everything's got to go. Then what do we? Then it can still have even if it doesn't look mucky, it would be.
We still need to clean
contaminated.
And sanitize.
So then what?
Then
now what are we going to do?
Take everything out, wash it down with soap and water, and baking soda, and then a bleach solution.
Well, okay. Now you've said dishwashing soap or water, and what is baking soda doing except helping the smell?
It's getting a little bit. It gives you a little bit of grit to help clean any thing that might be stuck on, and it also just helps give that. It helps deodorize a little bit.
Is there a relation to how much soap, baking soda, and that we use? Just a good mixture, like we would be cleaning anything really good.
I don't want it really sudsy. The more chemical I put in, the more I have to try to rinse it out. You don't want that sitting in your refrigerator. You don't want your refrigerator to smell like.
And that's a great point, because again, a lot of times you think the more sudsy, the better. I'm really going to go after it, and that is not the way to go.
Right.
Even in our washers, isn't that right? And I used to really power up, and now I realize just that little bit of bubbles, let's say, or that is much better than half the tub, the rest of the tub filling up like when I was younger. And it's hard because I have younger people in my family, and I tell them that, or that cold water, we're a little bit off of this, but cold water cleans as good as hot.
As a general rule, unless you have really greasy clothes or something like that.
That is really a problem,
help, but
and saves us money.
Oh, 100%, and it's saving your plumbing and
everything else. To use a cold water, it gets them just as clean and the least detergent, well, just enough.
Well, read the directions.
And stay with it. And don't try to, overthink it and say, I'm really going to power up. Okay, non-porous cooking and eating utensils, food equipment, anything. After cleaning these, we're going to all sanitize. This could be our countertops, everything's got to be
cleaned.
Once flood water has come, no matter how clean it looks,
we still need to wipe it down. And then just also take a look at your cabinets, and you want, after the flood water leaves or after any type of water damage goes, you want to get things dried out as quickly as possible. They say within 48 hours. If you don't get that done, you're going to have mold, and mold can be an issue.
And the whole other ball
you can't
game.
See. It can be behind the wall, it can be behind the wallpaper, and then you'll start smelling, and you may have problems down the road.
So as soon as we can, we get in there and start our throwaway or whatever it's going to take to get everything going. Diane?
The other thing about freezers and refrigerators, just real quick, is think about how deeply it was flooded, and if you think it's going to work, because there's insulation in those too, and is that going to grow mold in the like you can't see it. So just kind of think about trying to get it dried out. How bad was your flood, and how much was affected.
And the quicker we get everything dried up, the better. Well, Diane, the extension is just, if you've never been, it is just a place for wonderful educational learning. I mean, Diane teaches classes, other people. It's just a wonderful place. So Diane, I know we're not going to have time for our mold show. I'm going to have her come back. But I want her to tell us what's our upcoming things. Tell us anything in closing that you want us to know.
Well, I'm going to put that up there. This usually comes out twice a year to all of the residents.
And make sure you read it.
And it lists our classes that we have coming up. A couple that we have coming up in the home ec area, or the Family and Consumer Sciences area. I have a class on multi-cookers. Instapots is the brand name everybody thinks of. That's on March 30th in the morning. And Cooking the Books, where it's a book club where we cook and talk about the book.
The book, it's usually food-related books, and then, or something's been made in the book and then you make it. I think that is the most fun thing I've heard of in a long time.
And then next Friday, we have Friday Food Fun, which is a monthly program, and next Friday we're talking about brain health. And I need that just as much as everybody else.
Yeah, we all do. We all do. Well, Diane, thank you so much for coming out and being with us again. And haven't we learned a lot? Every time she comes, we have learned what to do and some surprising things that you have added, and how important it is to get that all cleaned up. So Diane's information will follow, her contact information. She'll be able to tell you if you just want to talk to her, anything that you're thinking about today that maybe didn't get answered on the show. And I'm so glad that she was with us. She'll be back. We're going to do a mold show. It's very important also. So until next time, you be happy and you keep smiling, and I'll see you soon.